What have we got today? What's going on in the world of politics?
OFCOM has released...
Shush, careful. God bless their souls.
Yes.
And all who sail in them.
OFCOM, which is the regulator of people like us, radio stations and television stations, networks, has come down and has made a ruling that Channel 4, when it replaced Boris Johnson, who didn't want to take part in the climate change debate with other party leaders, Nigel Farage didn't want to take part, but when they replaced him with an ice sculpture, and you'll remember Michael Gove, who was previously Environment Secretary and then Minister for No Deal Planning, turned up with Stanley Johnson, Boris Johnson's father, and demanded to take part in that debate.
Stanley Johnson, you fact check me. Stanley Johnson was already in the spin room. So
he was already in the spin room.
Yes, he didn't. He wasn't part of a kind of. I mean, Gove turned up and asked if he could play with the leaders. It was apparently turned up at Old Trafford on Sunday asking if he could play at left back. Very nearly got a game. But yes, and then the complaint was that the Channel 4 had somehow done something wrong by replacing the man who refused to turn up with an ice sculpture.
Yes, so Michael Gove wanted to take part, but of course he wasn't allowed to take part because he's not the leader of the Conservative Party.
There was a clue in the title, Leaders Debate, wasn't there? Yes.
And of course the Channel 4 said, well, actually the other leaders would have refused to take part because Michael Gove wasn't the leader wasn't the leader of the Conservative Party. Anyway, Lee Kane, who is the Prime Minister's Director of Communications, and wrote to Ofcom to complain, and also threatened. There was also a threat from a Conservative source that the Tories, if they win a majority, would abolish Channel 4's public service broadcasting
Swiftly
licence.
Denied, but nonetheless reported.
Yes.
It's almost like the game plan is really flipping obvious, isn't it?
So anyway, Ofcom has now made a decision about Lee Kane's letter, and it's decided, in this case, the election committee, which is from Ofcom, concluded that across the 1 hour's debate and a subsequent news programme, Channel 4 use of editorial techniques ensured that the Conservatives' viewpoint on climate and environmental issues was adequately reflected and given due weight. Therefore, it doesn't uphold the Conservative Party complaint. It says broadcasters have an editorial freedom in determining the format of any election debate. Depending on the circumstances, they may choose to proceed without having agreed the participation of a particular political party or politician, providing they take steps to ensure the programme complies with our due impartiality and election rules. It's important, this statement, because there will be elections in the future, and it does set down a remit that if people don't want to take part in debates, Channel 4 was the first one, to my knowledge, that actually said, well, we're going to go ahead anyway with that debate, and they've gone ahead, and Ofcom has made a ruling that they were right to do so.
As usual, but also, of course, the other strand of that reasoning is that we need some sort of independent regulator in the way that they have in America, because it's only since 2010 that these debates have even been a thing. So you shouldn't have broadcasters or political parties exercising discretion over what they do and don't do. So if it was regulated and compulsory, then these problems wouldn't arise. But it has arisen in this case. Do you know what I nearly tweeted that day? But I didn't, just in case Ofcom went the other way. I couldn't imagine them going the other way, but I just thought, I'll hold fire on this one. It seemed to me to be really obvious what was going on, because I see it in conjunction with the continuing refusal of the Prime Minister to follow Jeremy Corbyn into Andrew Neil's studio.
Yes.
And that meant that the base, as it were, needed a Trump-style comeback. They needed to be given something they could, without really understanding what was going on, they could just wave it in the air and go, yay, yay. And that by submitting that complaint, it gave them the chance to say that, oh, well, yeah, but look at Channel 4, they did that and this and that, and not addressing any of the criticism being made of the Prime Minister for not following Jeremy Corbyn into Andrew Neil's studio, but giving people something to say, which is why I'm surprised and impressed. And I know I would say this anyway, God bless Ofcom and all who sail in her, but I am surprised and impressed by the speed of this decision, because if there was some sort of obfuscation underway here, it has essentially been scotched.
Yes, and the other thing to follow up on that is that in the wake of that debate, nobody was actually talking about climate issues, the threat to the planet. They were talking about the fact that Michael Gove had turned up and wasn't allowed to go
process, not policy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and that also.
Do you think this Lee Kane character might have been assembling his Ofcom complaint while the BBC were on the phone trying to actually set up a date for Boris Johnson to go into it? I mean, that might be the reason why that maybe he didn't get the messages, because he was too busy submitting this outwardly quite spurious complaint to Ofcom.
So,
Theo won't comment.
I can't. What can I say?
Carry on. What else are you here for? Donald Trump's in town.
Donald Trump's in town. Jeremy
Corbyn. Got me
Corbyn.
an interview?
No. Jeremy Corbyn has also sat down on the sofa, this morning's sofa.
What, Philip and Holly?
Holly, not
Yeah,
Holly. Ollie.
I said Holly.
You
Philip
said-
and Holly.
you said
Philip and Holly. Alderman Hawley Artingstall.
He sat down and he's
trolling me now. He's
he's-
done this morning. Are you winding me up?
he's done and he's apologised for anti-Semitism.
Oh, good.
Here is your opportunity now to apologise to the Jewish community for any anti-Semitism
Look,
by Labour members.
Our
across the
party
board.
has our party. Can I make it clear?
Just say sorry.
No, wait a minute. I and our party.
No, just say sorry.
Come on, can I say something?
Well,
our party.
I want you to
and
say sorry.
And our party and me
Yeah.
do not accept anti-Semitism in any form.
So
And
are you sorry for anything that's happened?
Obviously, I'm very sorry for everything that's happened. But I want to make this clear. I am dealing with it. I have dealt with it. Other parties are also affected by anti-Semitism. Candidates have been withdrawn by the Liberal Democrats and the Conservatives and by us because of it. We just do not accept it in any form whatsoever.
Just to remind you, James, there are 130 cases of anti-Semitism which are between the National Executive Committee, that's the ruling body of the Labour Party, and the National Constitutional Committee.
Allegations of anti-Semitism, not cases.
Well, cases, allegations. Well, they're cases.
That's very important. They're allegations of anti-Semitism. They're not examples of
Well, you have a police case,
Yes.
and it's a police case,
Yeah,
and then
right.
it's close.
Just to
I mean, it's not-
clarify,
I'm not saying it's
they might not all be
No,
up.
but I'm not saying it's a slam dunk. I'm just saying it's a case.
Good.
And it's 130
Sorry, I
cases.
don't know why I'm wasting my breath trying to curry favour with the converted on that one, but it was worth pointing out. And do you have the numbers at your fingertips of all the Conservative councillors suspended, etc., for
No, I don't.
Islamophobia?
But we were dealing with.
No, I know we were. I just wondered. I'm just trying to get the interview with Jezza, because if he's done Holly and Philip, I must be in with a chance.
There are 130 cases where allegations of anti-Semitism have been made. They are being investigated by the Labour Party. The reason I point to those is because they have been deemed significant enough that the subcommittee of the National Executive Committee, which is the governing body of the Labour Party, thinks that they need to go to the body within the Labour Party that is the only body within the Labour Party that can rule on whether those individuals should be kicked out of the party or not.
Thank you very much. So that was an unequivocal apology, albeit with that little, not petulant, that would be the wrong word, but the slightly pedantic exchange at the beginning. I love it when Philip Schofield goes all kind of Dan Rather. I do think that's highly enjoyable. But
he didn't. It would matter because he didn't apologise last week,
and he did this week. But
so
so theoretically, all the people that criticised him last week should shut up now. What's the likelihood of that on a scale of 1 to 10?
Yes, but they'd also point to the fact that why didn't you simply to Jeremy Corbyn? Why didn't you apologise last week when you had the opportunity?
So he
to
can't
apologise?
win. Because he already had apologised.
But if he had
apologised, he didn't
apologised,
have to apologise.
but if he
again.
apologised last week, then he wouldn't have to apologise this week.
I think they probably would have asked him again, don't you? Because last week he'd already apologised, and they still asked.
But then he
him
could
to
have
apologise
then he could
again.
have appointed to his apology last week.
Yeah, but then last week he could have appointed to his apology last year.
But he didn't.
No, funny old world.